Hi everybody, it's Andy and welcome again to my office in Modesto, California. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in California as well as New York. In this video I'm going to go over a rumor, a myth, misconception, not sure what to call it exactly, but basically it's a situation that kind of an average person would encounter in their everyday life and kind of wonder, hey, legally, I think this is a legal issue, but I'm not quite sure what the answer is, etc. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. The kind of genesis for this video, as well as the others that will probably follow it in this playlist, is a subscriber comment that I got a while ago saying, Andy, hey, can you, do some videos about kind of stuff that everyday people will kind of run into kind of in their daily life outside of court completely. So I thought about it going, well, hey, that's actually not a bad idea, hence here I am. So anyway, in this first video, I'm going to go over a question or myth, I guess, about contracts, and I'll set the situation like this. So let's say you and your friend, let's call your friend John, you and your friend John are walking down the street, and during the course of the conversation that the two of you are having, you promise to do something for John. So let's say, John, I promise to wash your car, or mow your lawn, I promise to pick you up tomorrow from the basketball game, stuff like that. You promise to do a thing for John. Is that a contract? In other words, if you don't wash John's car, you don't mow his lawn, etc., can he sue you because the two of you had a contract by which you were supposed to do that thing? And in general, the answer is, what do you think? Yeah? No? Maybe? So the answer is no. The reason is because in contract law, in California at least, there are very specific criteria for what a contract has to have. There has to be an offer of something, there has to be an agreement, acceptance, all that stuff. More importantly, at least to this question, is a contract also has to have something called consideration. Consideration, I'm not talking about the emotional kind of part of it. Consideration actually is a legal term. If you're interested, it's defined in California in Civil Code section 1605. I'll go ahead and put that over here as well as paste and link it down below. But consideration in a contract legal type of context is basically this. In order to kind of enter into a contract, each party has to do something, give up something, get something that they otherwise would not have done. So basically, if you imagine kind of like, ordinary life, as a result of, entering into a contract, you have to deviate either up or down from, kind of what your normal routine is. So the thing is, if you're deviating down, let's say, your consideration might be like you are foregoing the right to do this thing that you otherwise would be able to do. If you're going up, for example, you're deviating up, it means that you are getting a benefit of some kind that you otherwise would not have gotten. So consideration, again, if you want, Civil Code section 1605, consideration has to be mutual in order to support a contract. So to go back to the conversation example, let's say that I, Andy, promised to wash my friend John's car, and then John turns around and says, Andy, great, I promise to mow your lawn. Is that a contract? And the answer is yes, because I, Andy, have promised to do something, wash John's car, I think, to wash John's car when I otherwise did not have the obligation to do that. So I have assumed the obligation of washing John's car. John, on the other hand, has no obligation to mow my lawn. He has now assumed that obligation to mow my lawn. That's consideration from him. My consideration is, washing his car. There's now consideration both ways. There's a contract, assuming that all the other stuff that a contract requires is present. So in that case, if I promise to mow his lawn, he promises to wash my car. That's a contract. Is it a great contract? Not really. It's oral, it's for very small dollar value. That technically, however, is a contract. Enforcement, in the real world, maybe not. But there is a difference, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make between you or me, I guess, Andy, just promising John, I'll wash your car, John does nothing. And then over here, I promise to wash his car, he promises to mow my lawn. These two situations are actually very, very different. Not a contract. So that's the kind of takeaway from this video. Consideration, again, Civil Code section 1605, has to be something that is mutually exchanged in order for a contract to exist. So that said, that's probably way too kind of in-depth an explanation. Legally, this kind of simple thing is kind of complicated. It's actually not terribly bad. Rewatch this video if you want, but hopefully that made at least some sense, I guess. So again, hopefully that wasn't too confusing, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks.